I guess we on the damn show already. I wasn't even finished doing what I was doing before we came in on the radio. Ain't nobody feel. Ain't say, Don, we on.
Oh, my bad. We on, Don.
Hey, everybody. Thursday night, the Don Miller Show podcast. Thank you again so much, everybody, for joining us, supporting what we're doing here. Don't forget to subscribe and like. They keep telling me I got to tell everybody, subscribe and like. We picked up a lot of new people recently, and I thank you so much. Subscribe and like. We need all the support we can get so we can keep doing this, and you won't have to listen to them fake-ass people who are doing them fake shows. But, again, thank you so much, everybody. I don't mean to call nobody fake, but, yes, I did. This is a great conversation tonight. Again, I try to be up to the line in the conversation. I like to see myself as somewhat of a critical thinker, and we are coming upon the recognized holiday for Dr. Martin Luther King. His birthday was yesterday, the 15th, but the holiday is going to be next week.
I got it.
The holiday is going to be next week, and I want to talk about this holiday, MLK Day. I want to share my thoughts, of course, regarding Dr. King and his journey and what he stood for, how he engaged in that era. And I got a great guest coming on. I know a lot of people, and some of them ain't as smart as others, but today I got a really smart person on the show. And I ain't trying to say this because he's on the show. He's like really one of the smartest people I know. He is the Reverend Floyd Narcisse, the pastor of Greater St. Joseph AME Church in beautiful Spar, Florida. That's Marion County. That's Marion County, Florida. But he is pretty much, to me, and I'm going to tell you guys this, he's a scholar. And Pastor Narcisse is a guy that I spent a lot of time with when he moved to Florida. And we just kind of randomly met when he came down here to pastor. And just one of my guys, and I really appreciate the fact that he just called me today just to, I want to say something, but he's a pastor. He just called me to chit-chat. And he was just happy. I was like, man, are you just the person I was thinking about, Pastor? And he has joined us here today, Pastor Floyd Narcisse, Floyd L. Narcisse. He is the pastor. He got a new church. So I got to remember, see, I'm still on the old church, but he's got a new church. And as a matter of fact, this might be like the first few weeks. He is the pastor of Greater St. Joseph AME Church in Spar, Florida, which is Marion County, kind of Ocala. Hey, Pastor, welcome to the show.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. How are you tonight?
Pastor, I just want to say, man, you a good dude, and you and I have had some great conversations since I've met you, and we kind of met Phil randomly. Shout out to the podcast, Dr. Phil. Hey, man. Phil.
What's up?
Hey, how you doing?
I am great. Happy to be here, man.
Good. I want to start out real quick before I get into the conversation. A lot of people have been asking me. I got a lot of messages. Last week, as you know, last Friday, the funeral for former President Jimmy Carter was last Friday. Jimmy Carter, 100 years old, laid to rest in his town of Plains, Georgia, on the property of the house that he had resided in for more than 60 years. After leaving the White House, Jimmy Carter went back to Plains, Georgia, and he may be, I would say, the greatest post-presidency president that we've ever seen. His philanthropic endeavors in his post-presidency, you can't even compare it to anybody else. The good work that President Carter, a good man of God, a man of faith, did post-presidency, nobody has ever come close. So rest in peace. I always called him Reverend Pastor Carter. He always laughed. But Jimmy Carter was an amazing philanthropist, along with his wife, Rosalind Carter. So at the funeral last week, it was probably the first funeral that we've had 5 former presidents attend. Bush, Obama, Trump. Who am I missing? Bush, Obama, Trump, Clinton, and Biden, right. And 5 former presidents attended this service at the cathedral in D.C. And there was something that a lot of people, mainly the Negro community, got up in arms about the fact that Barack Hussein Obama was chatting it up with Donald Trump. I want to play this clip.
I don't know if there's any audio.
There's no audio. But anyway, so Barack Obama was chatting it up and laughing, engaging with Donald Trump, and the Negro variety on the internet went crazy. And why was he talking to Donald Trump? And people were sending me messages, what is that all about? And I agree to an extent. I just don't know why black people were offended by this. These guys are presidents and you're not. Okay, let's start there, right? If you understand that there is only 5 of these people alive, this is a society, and it has always been, and it will always be. When you arrive at such point in this country where there are only few of you left, please, people, stop it. This is politics, not politics. Reverend Floyd, when you saw that engagement, what were your thoughts?
I believe in love. I believe that in order for us to make a difference in the world, you have to be at the table. So we don't know what they was talking about. So the good thing is about they had friendly gesture. If the caveats is Biden was on the row in front of him, and no one said nothing to him, which is interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. Nobody said anything. The Clintons didn't talk to Biden. Obama didn't talk to Biden. And then Harris showed up. Nobody talked to her as well. I think that's what people should be asking questions about, not the fact that 2 former presidents chatted it up, or current president, as a matter of fact, chatted it up with a former president. And I think the fact is, if you want to be upset about anything, we should be more upset with Donald Trump for chatting it up with the dude who called him Hitler, okay? Because I don't know if I chatted up with a dude who calls me Hitler or a threat to democracy. And so I just think we got to step back, black folk. Please stop it. We got to move on and understand that in America, there are people dealing on a level that most of us aren't dealing on. And listen to me. If you call a guy Hitler or a threat to democracy or some of the things that Barack Obama called Donald Trump, we should be calling Donald Trump the good dude, right? We should be saying, okay, he took the high road. So let's just stop it. Let's move on. We got a new president coming in less than a week. America is in crisis. Let's move forward, try to get past all of this nonsense. Get off of social media and read some books. Many of you idiots out here, just stop it. Stop it. It's enough. We've had enough. It's time to move on. So again, shout out to Barack Obama, who kind of let his people down by engaging with Donald Trump. Them Negroes are crying. I can't believe my Uncle Barack was talking to him. But guess what? And he's probably going to play golf at Mar-a-Lago if invited. Okay, let's be clear, right? Then what y'all going to do, Phil, when he go to Mar-a-Lago to hit the ball?
Oh, man, I don't know.
Stop it.
We're going to protest.
Move on. Let it go. We got a new president in less than a week. America needs to be fixed. Again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Subscribe and like. Follow us on all social media platforms. Our guest tonight, Reverend Floyd Narcisse, who is being honored going into the Hall of Fame. Phil, you got to put this up, man. I'm so proud of this dude. Floyd Narcisse, next week. Is it next week, Pastor, or next month?
Next
February
month.
4th. Next month. He's being honored. He's going into the Hall of Fame at his alma mater, Turner Theological Seminary, correct?
Yes, sir, at the ITC.
He's going as one of the top in the country. He's being put into the Hall of Fame. Reverend Narcisse attended. See, this is what I always talk about too, guys. If your pastor ain't really go to theology school, then you got to be careful listen to what he tell you, okay? There's some dudes out here ain't read no books, but they got members. Like the dude we talked about last week. Mm-hmm. Pastor Narcisse is educated. I know for a fact he has a master's from a theological seminary. He went to school. He went to school. And so, again, he can engage. And that's why when he called me today just to chit-chat, I'll keep trying to say that other thing. I was like excited about having Pastor Floyd on. He's my friend. I want to get into this conversation because, as you know, Monday is the federal holiday for Martin Luther King. It is a federal holiday. It is the first federal holiday for a black person in this country. It took a while, legislative action, and there were people still mad at John McCain, who, as the senator from Arizona, didn't vote for it, and they were upset with John McCain, but time passes, and many people forgot all about that. But finally, we got a holiday for Dr. Martin Luther King. And I found myself in a difficult place because I was a very, very big fan of Dr. Martin Luther King until I was not a fan anymore.
John, where you going with this?
Okay, just stay with me, right? And there's perfect timing to bring Reverend Narcisse on to have this conversation because a couple of pastors I was talking to about this ran and hid from me because, again, they didn't go to real theology school. And so it's hard to talk to somebody, and he got the same education I got, and I know more about Jesus than he do, but he's more charismatic and can do more backflips than me, okay?
How many backflips can you do?
Help us,
Back
Lord.
in the day, I could do a backflip, okay? I can hit you with one backflip. Huh?
We're still praying for you, Don. We're still praying for you.
Keep praying for me. So, Pastor Narcisse, as a young man, I was enamored with the conversation surrounding Dr. Martin Luther King, formerly known as Michael King, who was truly a scholar, Morehouse man, theology at Boston University's famed School of Theology, and just one of the most brilliant scholars, definitely one of the top 2 or 3 orators of our time, correct?
Correct.
And came along at a time when the Negro in this country was almost out of gas in the quest to feel like that we were a part or any level of equal in a society that we had so often, the story tells us, as we know, built this country up. And so comes Dr. King, and the level of inspiration coming off of Dr. King was something that many people had never seen before. That was an open space coming from the voice, coming from the mouth of a Negro man. Floyd, as a theologian, as a scholar, as a young man growing up, tell me what Dr. King meant to you.
Dr. King was my role model, besides my father. I started off with a church called Martin Luther King Presbyterian Church in Springfield, Massachusetts, founded by the Reverend Ronald Dr. Peters. Mm-hmm. And if we look at the history of Dr. King, of an African-American man, graduated from Morehouse at 16, went to Boston Theological, went to BU. He believed in the American dream. And what hurt him was when he started talking about the economics, that's when they wanted to kill him. It was amazing.
You say they wanted to kill him.
I mean, they did kill him. They didn't just want to kill him, they did kill him. Mm-hmm. The government killed him, but we know the government killed him. But what I loved about Dr. King was he still believed in, before the segregation, he still believed in the future. He believed in what he did not see. He said, I may not, if you listen to the message, he said, I may not get there when I may not get there with you. He believed in the dream. And if he was still alive today, I think he would still be upset, because why is it in 2025 minimum wage is only $7.25? And if you look at it today, they had the hearing. The man said, Bernie Sanders asked the man, do you think we need to change the minimum wage? The man said no. Mm-hmm. King will be turned around in his grave, because we know good and well that's not an equal wage for anybody in America.
Okay, but you say that, Reverend, and you're right. When you look at the minimum wage, and oftentimes Dr. King's conversation was about equality. And nobody, as I recall, well, there were some people, because there's some names that don't get the attention that I think they should get, Frederick Douglass being one, and Booker T. Washington being another, whose whole basis of dialogue, basis of conversation was about economic and building yourself. And but you get this. Dr. King was all about developing and creating an environment for equality for people, the Negro people. But we done had a black president, and we still got the same economic struggle in the black community. So if Dr. King was alive today, this is my question when I posted this conversation. Feel free to pop in, drop us your thoughts, subscribe, and like. This is my question. What would he say? What would he say about America today, post-Negro president? How did Dr. King lose his life at the Lorraine Motel, murdered, having a conversation about equality, and finally, in 2008, a black man is elected president of these United States, and he does 2 terms, yet none of the things that Dr. King sought to the moment that he died have even been addressed. How do we take this seriously? And what would he say if he saw this today?
He would still ask America, where's that check? Just think about that speech.
But he would ask America, you voted for a black man, and where's that check? Can you say it like that? You voted for a black man, and many of your communities look the same.
Where are the things that you promised us?
You've had black senators, and why are your communities still looking like that?
We're still waiting. You have also, you keep on talking about black senators, but they were also bought by a price. They wasn't for us. But we have to play politics in order to get in the room. Mm-hmm. But I thank God for Barack Obama. If it wasn't for Dr. King, there would be no Barack Obama.
Listen to me. I think Barack Obama set the Negro back 20 years. And I could say this
I respectfully disagree with that comment, Mr.
Okay.
Mr. Miller.
Tell me, what is Barack Obama's, watch this. Phil, I told you this might be a little interesting.
I don't know where you're going with this, bro.
What was Dr. King's greatest achievement? I'll wait.
I will have to say the Civil Rights Act, my brother.
So you're telling me Lyndon Baines Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act because of MLK?
I will either say the Civil Rights Act or I will say the Voting Rights Act.
Okay. So you say LBJ, who if you listen to the LBJ tapes, they've been released. You're saying that Dr. King's greatest accomplishment was that a white president, LBJ, whose history was not a mystery, signed that into law because of the urging or the fact that MLK was raising up the Negro. That's what you would say?
If not that, definitely the boycott. He helped out with the boycott when you heard them in their pockets. It's multiple things that Dr. King did that helps us even in today's society.
Okay. All right. So if I pose this question, Phil, I want you in on this one as well. And feel free to join us. Put the number up. I want to talk to some people about this today because it's been heavy on my heart for like 29 years.
All right, hang on.
If MLK had not been assassinated on the balcony at the Lorraine Motel, would his legacy be where it is today? Had he just died of old age and went on home to Jesus at old age, would his legacy be the legacy that is placed in front of us today? I think not. I don't know what his greatest achievement was. I am concerned that we are allowing people to continually pick who our heroes are. And I believe this because as a kid growing up in a public school environment, Dr. King was my hero until I read about Booker T, until I read about W.E.B., until I studied Malcolm, and then he fell to 4th place. And then he fell to 5th place when I read about George Washington Carver. And then he fell to 6th place when I understood what Sojourner Truth was doing. And he fell to 7th place when I understood the value in Harriet Tubman.
So why is he the one of the only ones that?
Don, the good thing is that you said what you named all African American leaders that the world don't even some world don't even know about.
Because we let somebody else pick the one for us.
The main thing they all I did Bible study like last night, and the thing was we're better together.
Mm-hmm.
You named all those wonderful African American leaders in our past. We're better together because until we tell our story, you made a statement. We allow them to pick our leader.
Mm-hmm.
That's because we were not allowed to tell our story. When we are allowed to tell our story, they shut us down.
But again, Floyd, what's our story?
Louis Farrakhan tells the truth and tell the story. They shut him down.
But
Let's tell the truth now.
Let me just say this. Minister Farrakhan is one of the most principled and, quite frankly, and I'm going to say this because I look, that's where I come from. I come from that environment. There's nothing that pains me more than a leader that is not astute enough to engage that or those who are not following. When you are a brilliant leader, you must, this is the point I make when I talk about brilliant leaders. A brilliant leader will take someone who is not even in the movement and lure them into the movement. Who are these people now in this era? I know none. And when I talk about, when I really talk about the names of Tubman and W.E.B. and Booker and Marcus Garvey and Frederick Douglass, and how that they have been totally washed out and removed from the history. Yet let me give you an example.
It's not just that. We can even talk about African American women that have been washed out in history.
Yeah.
It's not just them people. It's a lot of people that have been washed out in our own history that do not get the recognition.
Mm-hmm. So let me just say this. Because the worst thing you can do is get me to thinking, right? And I just want to tell y'all, get me to thinking, it becomes a problem and a situation. My mama told me, I'll never forget this, excuse me, Pastor, my mama loved the Lord and went on home to Jesus about a year and a half ago, but she loved the Lord, and she told me, if you don't sit your ass down, because I always had a question. When you look at America today and the fact that we let our history become a mystery, right? And Dr. King, yay, he did some great speeches. But to me, A. Philip Randolph was the greatest leader of that era. Asa Philip Randolph. The March on Washington, the initial engagement with President Truman and FDR, that was A. Philip Randolph.
I never even heard of him.
Pull it up real quick. You got a phone or something, and then you come back and tell me if I'm lying. A. Philip Randolph was the first person to ever create a union for black people in that era when he merged the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters. Sleeping car porters were guys who worked on the train, oftentimes black men from all over the country who worked on the train, and their job was pretty much butlers to wealthy white people who travel this country by train. And finally, A. Philip Randolph, Jacksonville, Florida, he was able to merge the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters with the AFL, American Federation of Labor, that was ran by a guy by the name of George Meany. And now, after that moment, became the AFL-CIO, American Federation of Labor Congress Industrial Organization. And the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters became the first black union in this country. And then you go on to look that when black men and women were not employed during the war, it was A. Philip Randolph who went to the president and raised his hand about when we are building these war materials, that black people should be able to work in these plants as well because we are citizens. And then the initial March on Washington was also set up and engaged by Asa Philip Randolph. And that is the initial march when we marched, started to build a march. And the president at the time was Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And he said, send this Negro to me. And A. Philip Randolph went to the president, and the president said, what does the Negro want? And A. Philip Randolph said, Mr. President, all due respect, the Negro wants jobs and justice. And this was early 50s, late 40s. And then in 1960 plus, as we know, the second march on Washington, the Negro showed up, and the cry was for what? Jobs and justice. Mm-hmm. Then the Million Man March, as we know it, in the last 25 years was jobs and justice. So how do we value an era or an orator, yet the cry is still the same? So my point is, Dr. King did great work, but he's not a hero to me. And you got to be careful how you pick your heroes, guys. I'm just saying, look, if you let me pick a holiday, I'm picking a different holiday because I want my child to go to school and say, okay, this is a holiday, and read about a guy that was a G on behalf of the downtrodden. I don't know how you feel about this, but just because, man, see, I didn't want to do this, Phil. You follow me, Pastor? I'm just saying Dr. King King was a brilliant orator.
He was.
But what was his greatest accomplishment? That's all I'm saying.
His greatest accomplishment was bringing people together to letting people understand that there was a dream. You have to understand, at that time, segregation was real. Okay?
And when he died, segregation was real. For years after his death, segregation was real.
He had a dream speech that made people come together. And for today's society, we have to respect the past, that he made a difference. It wasn't just King, it was even Mary McLeod Bethune. Like, she doesn't even get enough credit. It's a lot of African Americans.
I'll take a Mary McLeod Bethune holiday. If you know who she was.
We have to understand that it's so much. We come from a lot that people just don't realize our history. But since we're talking about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was one of the most powerful preachers of our time. Period. No hands down. He preached the gospel in season, out of season. And what you have to understand, and what people don't realize, that he didn't just preach the gospel. Dr. King he went through the battle. He got stoned. Yep. He got beat up in your city, Chicago. He went all over the world.
Well. Let me just say this, though. I think it's important.
Come on now.
I think it's important. I'm not knocking Dr. King, but
because we don't understand. He got stoned in Chicago. He got rejected in Albany. He got stabbed in New York. He got struck down in the face in Birmingham.
Yep.
He got sent to jail in Alabama. It's a lot of things Dr. King did for the cause that people in 2025 won't never do. Period.
Okay, so
we cannot say that. We cannot. We have to understand to know our history. I got the facts.
Okay, let me just say this. I think the confusion here is this, Phil. Everything you said he did was absolutely true. That's amazing. He took a lot of abuse. But what is his greatest accomplishment?
We got a phone call.
Let's go to the phone lines. Hey, you on the Don Miller Show?
Hey, Mr. Don, this is Pap from Florida.
Hey, Pap, how you doing, Pap? Go ahead.
Well, I'm hanging in there pretty good, about like a loose tooth. I'm ready to fall out. Yes, good to hear you
white people,
talking. Y'all got a rip-roaring subject to go on tonight now.
Okay, all right. Pap, how old are you? How old are you?
Man, I'm next month I'll be 72 years old.
Okay, so Pap, you lived in the deep South. You lived in the deep South during that era, correct?
Yes, I did.
What are your memories of Dr. King?
I was little, whenever in 1964, I said I was 9 years old whenever everything started coming down and getting around, and I was influenced by my folks. You know, my folks was old rednecks, you know, out in the country, you know, farmers and such as that. And so they were highly racist. And I was trying to, but my dad was fair. He told me, he says, you watch and you see both sides and you see how things pan out. And he says, and don't make your own decision over how I believe or how your school tries to teach you or what you see in the papers. You pay attention to what you see and what people tell you, and you make your own mind up. And so I kind of watched it, and took a long time to make my mind up about Dr. King and his movement. Now he was a Christian, he was a pastor, and he I reckon he loved the Lord. I never heard him preach a sermon on TV. They'd always show his speeches, you know. And he was a.
Are you a Christian? Are you a Christian?
Oh yes, sir. But I know the Lord and believe the book.
Okay.
And been saved for 40-something years. I was a grown man before I got saved and started reading the Bible and paying attention.
So
to
what
it.
would your dad say?
And
what would your dad say to you right now if he knew your favorite radio show was a Negro?
He'd probably laugh and say, "Now, son, don't trust them now, but you listen to them, you know, and but don't loan them no money, you know."
Don't loan them no money. Well, listen, man. Listen.
That'd be about what he'd say.
I appreciate you, man. I love you. I love you, brother.
Hey, brother.
Huh?
Y'all take care of yourselves.
Man, you my guy. If I come up to Florilla, Alabama, you got to walk me around the town because I can't walk by myself.
Oh no, man! Hey, this bunch around here, you know, we're a lot more civilized than they were 40, 50 years ago.
Well, I love you, brother. I thank you so much, man. Thank you so much, man. That's my good buddy. He's been listening to me on the radio field for how long?
Forever.
Yeah, I'll never forget the first time he called the show. It was just beautiful. But I want to get back to the conversation because I don't want anybody. I just got a message. People trying to get me to explain what I'm saying. I am saying that I want black people to move quickly toward substance. And until we move quickly toward substance, we're going to be emotional and not informational. Dr. King was absolutely a wonderful man who did great work as it relates to messaging. If he was alive today, he probably would be considered one of the best influencers of all time. Okay? Stay with me. But I also think in the history of black people in this country, we've been okey-doked a time or two. And I'm concerned that the names like A. Philip Randolph and Booker T and G.W. Carver and Harriet Tubman and many of these names don't get the play that I think they should get. Because if you go down a rabbit hole reading Booker T. Washington, it will change your circumstances. It will change your life. It will change the way you feel about a lot of things in your life every day. And I'll give you an example. I just recently did a series. Somebody just told me I'm up for an award field for a series I did on Edenville, Florida.
Oh, yeah. You stopped that stuff from happening.
Okay. I did a series on Edenville, Florida, and the Hungerford family reached out to me. That is the family that donated the significant amount of land to Edenville, Florida, to build Hungerford Prep. And so the Hungerford family saw the show, reached out to me. Then the media came and got involved and would stop the sale of the land, because it was a bogus sale, right? And so that school, Hungerford Prep in Edenville, Florida, the oldest black incorporated township. The person that was sent to develop that institution to educate black people came out of Booker T. Washington's structure program, right? And if you go around the country and look at many of these places, the hand of education and economic development, especially as it relates to agriculture, these people came from Washington and Carver, Tuskegee Institute. So when I look at the history of black people, and I want to talk about substance and situations that presented themselves that laid a path for substance, not emotion, I have to go to the names of Tubman and Washington. Emotion. Dr. King gave us great emotion, amazing emotion. But the groundwork for many of our institutions, Mary McLeod Bethune, when you look at this and look at the fact that there are people walking today had opportunities because of names like Carver and Washington and Bethune. Yet the emotion that we love when we hear great speeches, I just want substance, guys. Barack Obama, what's his greatest accomplishment, Reverend? What is the greatest accomplishment of Barack Obama, Reverend Narcisse?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Barack Obama, the greatest accomplishment of Barack Obama did was, for what? For Americans or for black people?
For black people.
He changed the laws. He changed the laws and let a lot of unviolent offenders out of jail during his time in office for the 8 years he was in office.
Okay. All right. And so he changed the laws.
Let me not say. Let me
I gotta
change
be honest
my
with you.
language.
I'm not familiar with that.
Let me change that language. I wouldn't say he changed the laws because
Okay.
he does not have the right to change the law. Let me use the correct verbiage. He allowed unviolent offenders to get out of jail. That's what he did for people of color.
Okay. Can I tell you something? I don't know that legislative piece. Maybe somebody knows it. D'Amica Page, if you're listening, or somebody who knows it, Brother Osiris, some of my friends who might be listening, I'm not familiar with him doing anything to that magnitude because I don't know the greatest accomplishment of Barack Obama. And I got
no.
I'm going to put it on the record. I'll put it on the record. I voted for Barack Obama the first time.
Okay.
And worst thing you could do is get Don Miller to vote for you because I'm all in your grill for the whole cycle. And I'm paying attention to everything you do. And I contend the greatest accomplishment of Barack Obama was to engage with the homosexual community, the LGBT. You go look at if his greatest work was LGBT. Don't ask.
No,
don't tell.
Healthcare.
Okay. Oh, you mean Obamacare?
Obamacare, healthcare.
Okay, that's what it was. Oh, okay. How's that working out? How's that working out?
That was his biggest accomplishment. I'll take that. We talking about Obama. His biggest accomplishment was healthcare, and then Obama did also help out the LGBT community. He definitely did that. He was a major piece for the LGBT community. You're absolutely right.
Okay, healthcare so as a pastor, now as a man of God, right?
Now I'm an AME pastor. I'm an African Methodist Episcopal Church pastor.
I know who you are.
We do not. You are not allowed to marry same-sex marriages.
In your church.
In my church. No AME church in the country or in the world.
And your denomination was founded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, correct?
Correct.
And who was the black gentleman who founded your denomination?
Richard Allen was at the altar at St. George Church in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
And was he a freed black man?
He was a free black man. Because of the color of his skin, he was praying at the altar too long. They told him to get up from here. He believed in that we can have our own chance to pray in our own denomination. So he started at a blacksmith shop with Abilene Jones and started the African Methodist Episcopal Church, which is the number one church for African Americans, founded in 1787 and got
so in
incorporated.
1787, a freed black man, an educated, might we add an educated freed black man?
Yes,
Richard Allen was an educated freed black man, right? Whose commitment to Jesus Christ that he learned from being in the white church, yes or no?
That is correct.
Okay, now we got to see. I look like I'm a little stupid, but I stay up really late drinking wine and reading, okay? Not necessarily communion, but wine. And so when I listen to this and I see America, and I see black America, after the death of Dr. King, there were many years that we all raised our hand and just asked the question, would there be one? And finally, in 2008, out of Chicago, Barack Obama ascended to the White House.
Mm-hmm.
And we were all amazed and we were so excited and they were dancing in the street. And we all knew that finally equality was coming for the Negro
But we
in
forget
America.
that he didn't have the Senate or the Congress to help him. Let's be honest.
Wait. Hold on.
He did not have the Senate or Congress to help him. Let's not just start.
Okay.
I believe that he should have done a lot more for African Americans, but let's be honest. He did not have the people to help him like Trump has coming in 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
He did not have the help. Let's be honest. He did not have the Senate. He did not have Congress. So when you don't have those two things, believe it or not, regardless if you're the president, you don't have the authority.
Okay.
Now, he could not do all these executive orders that folks do nowadays because a black man, you could not do that. You're not be able to do that. He would have never had two terms.
Okay.
So the rules are different. Unfortunately, you don't want to. I'm gonna tell the truth.
Hey, let's go to the phone lines real quick.
Rules are different for black people.
Reverend, we want to hear you. Let's go to the phone lines. Hey, you on the Don Miller Show? Hey, you on the Don
show?
The Don Miller Show?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was calling to get information. What are we talking about?
Who is this? You called us. First of all, you need to get your dog some food. Thank you.
No, he doesn't need food. He's barking outside.
Oh, okay. So what's your question?
Because
were you calling for a podcast?
Well, I was calling to get right. Yes, I didn't know it was calling into the line.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Sorry. We do
damn.
Live,
we do live shows
at this time. I'll call you back later. Okay. I'm sorry.
Okay.
About
Damn. What kind of nonsense? I got to get my own phone though. Let me just say this, guys. You were just saying, Pastor, that Barack Obama, when he went in, did not have the ability to make a difference. Is that what you're saying?
I said he didn't have the help or the resources. He did not have the Senate. He did not have the Congress to help him put legislation through. Let's think about it. If Ted Kennedy did not pass away, Obamacare might have not have been passed through. Period.
Okay. Let me just say this. Can I just say this, Pastor? And I don't want to mean to do this to the man of God on the show because I appreciate you joining me. Barack Obama had total control of the House and the Senate when he went in. Total control. And he had a margin big enough to do whatever he wanted to do. So I don't know if you want to go and do some research on the 111th Congress, but I knew this. Phil, you've heard me talk about this here on the show before. Barack Obama could have went in and hit draws. The fact is they have continually gave bad information to black people that he had no ability to do anything. Barack Obama did what he was told to do. He had the House and the Senate and a giant margin for 713 days. So please, Pastor, I get it. I understand. That's nonsense. He had it. He could have did anything he wanted to do, but his job was to pivot toward LGBT, gay marriage, don't ask, don't tell, and a bunch of other bullshit that whoever gave him the position told him to do. Excuse me for cussing, but I come from a long line of cussers. My mama was a cusser. I love you, mommy. Rest in peace. My daddy, I don't know that dude. He probably cussed, but I know my granddaddy loved the Lord and cussed. I'm saying this is very important that we not provide bad information to the listener. Barack Obama had the House and the Senate for 700 plus days. Phil, pull it up. I'm saying Barack Obama's job he did what he was set up to do. He was selected before he was elected. And when you are selected before you're elected, You have one job, and he did it well, but that job was not to grow the Negro or any conversation surrounding the Negro. So let's get back to Dr. King and his flawed, I said it 3 damn times, move toward making a difference. My position right now today, I was a fan of Dr. King's till I was not a fan of Dr. King's. The initial winner of the Margaret Sanger Award. Anybody know who Margaret Sanger was? She was a devout Genesis. She created, Phil. You got what I sent you, Phil? Mm-hmm. Margaret Sanger was there you go right there. Margaret Sanger, this is what she said. Don Miller ain't said. She was a eugenicist. And we should hire 3 or 4 colored ministers, preferably with social service backgrounds and engaging personalities. The most successful educational approach to the Negro is through a religious appeal. We don't want the word to go out. We want to exterminate the Negro population, and the minister is a man who can straighten out that idea if it ever occurs to any of their more rebellious members. That's the pushback Negro she speak of. And who, Phil, I didn't even tell you this, was the first recipient in 1966 of the Margaret Sanger Award?
Oh, God, I don't know.
MLK. Margaret Sanger founded Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood has killed more babies, more black babies. Go look it up. Go look it up. I ain't making this up. See, we got to be careful, guys. I get it, man. I know everybody wants to be smart. And listen, I'm true to this. I ain't new to this, okay? I don't even need notes. My notes was time saying what I'm going to order on Amazon tonight. I'm just saying this is very important. This is very important, Floyd. Phil, you've been on this thing with me for how long?
4 years.
How many times I done forgot my notes and did a whole show? All the time.
Yeah, I was like plenty.
The point I make is this, guys. Dr. King was a brilliant man, a great orator, probably one of the greatest orators of all time.
So my question is, what makes you not like him no more, or not like him?
It's not that I don't like him. I have much respect for what he did. But my question is, had not he died on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel, would he be revered at the level in which he's revered?
But you can say about everybody's legacy though, Don, who gets murdered.
Why those who are murdered get more love? That's all I'm asking. I think what Harriet Tubman did was amazing. I think she may be one of my top 2. I can talk about Booker T and George Washington Carver, and I could talk about Mansa Musa.
I like Thurgood. But
you like Thurgood today.
Well, Don, have you, I'm going to quote this fantastic movie called The Dark Knight.
Yes.
Where he says you live long enough, either die a hero or live long enough to become a villain.
Absolutely. Correct?
That's
facts, man. I just want everybody to listen. Do me a favor. And I know I probably threw somebody's MLK Day off tonight. Just go do some reading. Just go do some reading. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate you, man. Selected before elected. I just want people to do some reading. Don just fired up the ass chipper. I'm telling you, PJ, I just want people to read, man. I get it, man. Look, I love symbolism. I love it. Symbolism is amazing. But I just want substance, man. I'm at a time in my life that substance is nothing better to me than substance. And they keep throwing these symbols at us, man, these feel-good moments. You know, and I just don't want another feel-good moment. And they gave us a holiday called Juneteenth, which is the biggest crock of mess that they could ever give. Why can't we pick our own holidays? If you'd say we need one more black holiday and give me a list, like put it in every polling place in America, Juneteenth wouldn't even one. You put Juneteenth, Harriet Tubman's birthday. Huh, Phil? Come on, Floyd.
Well,
Harriet Tubman's birthday, Juneteenth, right? Booker T. Washington's birthday. And if you put Barack on there, probably the Negro going to go for Barack because they're non-readers. But the fact of the matter is, no, for real.
Why are you playing? Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but when Barack passes It will be a Barack Obama holiday.
For what?
Because he's the first black. It's going to happen. Trust me. Watch.
Floyd, man, I don't understand, man. And he did nothing to grow the Negro in America. All he got was 96% of their vote.
He gave them hope, and that's a lot to give in America nowadays. You may think it's not a lot, but give African Americans hope when they don't see nothing. It's a lot.
But hope is like dope, Floyd.
But hope may be dope, but guess what? People need that hope when they don't have nothing, my brother, because I've seen it. I'm in it every day. Marion County is a county that I thought was, but our children are hurting everywhere. No matter what county you go to, if you're an educator, our children are hurting, and they need hope because they go through. They see so much at a young age that they should not see ever in their life.
Right.
It's all about economics.
I just got to tell you, Pastor, I thank you so much for coming to see me at the last minute. Can you shout the First Lady out, man? Tell her I said hey.
Oh, to my wonderful, amazing, the first and only lady, Tashika Andrea Narcisse. We call her Lady Cook. She has been the teacher of the year in Orange County for the last 2 to 3 years. So we come from educated and anointed people. Thank you very much.
Yeah, she is absolutely a wonderful person. And I'm so glad that you are together with her because I just love that lady. She's just a good lady. Pastor, thank you so much, man, for joining us. How can they follow you? Put it up, Phil. How can they follow Pastor?
All right.
Okay, you can follow Pastor. He's on all social media platforms.
It's Rev_Floyd22.
Yep, you go follow him. He's got a good word. He's a really brilliant guy. And I just thank you for joining me, my friend.
Thank you very much for having me. Have a blessed and wonderful weekend, everyone.
Right.
And God bless. Don, thank you very much for having me.
God bless you, Pastor.
God bless you, too.
Phil, let me just say this, man, real quick. Was I wrong tonight?
Hell yeah, you're wrong. What the hell's wrong with you?
This is much important to me, man. I am just so tired of people telling me who I should revere. Let me just slow down. I'm going to say this again because somebody over there didn't hear what I said. I'm tired of people telling me who my heroes should be and what they should look like and what their accomplishments should be. The only person that changed our circumstance who died was Jesus. And he ain't stay dead.
Nope.
He ain't stay dead. Listen to me. We can't allow our history to be a mystery. So next week, if you got a job and they give you the day off for Dr. King's birthday, that ain't what Dr. King stood for. Go to work.
You should watch the Boondocks episode.
I love it. I love it.
If
He went to
King
Canada. He went to Canada. I wish we could play that.
I know, I would, but we get blocked real quick.
We'll get blocked real quick, okay? I just want people to understand, if you don't understand what a person was really about, do what I do. Do what Phil do, right? Do what Phil does, and do what many of us do. Osiris and many of our friends who are critical thinkers. Do what Quetta Jean Johnson, okay? Do what she does, okay? Do what the fragrance lady and Bridget, okay? You go down a rabbit hole and just read and just seek knowledge. I'm not knocking the greatness of MLK. I'm just saying there were a lot of great people whose work was great and who didn't waver. When you're pushing me, when your push is to get me to sit at the table, then I sit at the table in the attitude toward those at the table. When I have to get up from the table and still go to the Negroes only bathroom, why am I at the table? Why is the quest to sit at the table when I got to go to the Negroes only bathroom when I take a break from the table? If you are pushing growth, because you got to understand, guys, you can't grow if you don't know. Congratulations. I look forward to the MLK holiday. I'll probably be in the office working that day because if we know what he really stood for in Birmingham and Mobile and Chicago Keep in mind, he went to Chicago not for civil rights. He went to Chicago for housing inequality. And he was ran out of Chicago by black folk. The Silent Six black aldermen wanted him to leave Chicago because they saw him as a disruption. You look at Mississippi, the places that Dr. King went, there's a lot of pushback by a lot of people who look like Dr. King. But we applaud the life of MLK and the message that the final message was greater than the early message. We applaud that, but we also have to acknowledge that we have to be careful when other people pick our heroes for us. Allow us to pick our heroes. Because I contend to any black person in this country, Barack Obama is never and should never be a hero to the black man in America. When you give somebody 96% of your vote, and after 8 years, you got nothing but symbolism. But the LGBT has rose up. They have parades more than they ever had before, simply because they had a president acknowledge them through executive order. The Negro has never been acknowledged through executive order. Go look. I know it's like, man, Don Miller, he hate black folk. You wrong, because I'm going to meet with some black guys in about 10 minutes. And we're going to be meeting till it get late in the evening. But all I'm saying is we have to stop letting people tell us who our heroes are. Black folk and white folk, man. White folk, y'all need to cut that nonsense out too, but right now, we do it more than y'all. We got a president coming next week, a new guy. I think we deserve to give this guy the benefit of the doubt. We got to give him the benefit of the doubt. We've given other people the benefit of the doubt, Phil. Like him or hate him, he's the president. And for those people who say he ain't your president, that's good. They got some planes leaving every 10 minutes to take you somewhere else to live. Bet your ass come right back. This is America. And there's a reason why millions and millions and millions of people risk their lives to sneak into this place. Nobody's risking their lives to sneak into Afghanistan. Nobody's risking their lives to sneak into France or Israel or Egypt. Nobody. They are risking their lives to sneak into America. They are toting children across the world just for an opportunity to live in the greatest land in the world. You can like it or hate it. You can like it or hate the politics of it, but at least we're free. So please understand when you say ridiculous stuff that there are millions of people in Africa, in Asia, South America, that are willing to put their lives on the line, less than 150 miles away off the coast of Florida. There's nobody in Haiti right now, a country that is controlled by warlords with no government, that wouldn't risk it all to get to our shores. We need to cut the nonsense and stop letting our enemy pick our enemy and engage right, be good to each other, and stop letting people pick your damn heroes. You don't know my hero? Thank you so much, everybody. Hey, listen, subscribe and like. Tell everybody about this ragged-ass show that I put on every Thursday night. I try real hard. Thank you so much, Pastor Floyd Narcisse. Congratulations on you being inducted into the Hall of Fame at the Turner Theological Seminary. You're a good-ass dude, man. I appreciate you, Pastor. Phil, the podcast doctor. Yes, follow him. Go do his thing. Phil, what's this new lady, man, that I just signed on to do business with? What's her name?
Amber.
Go find Amber, man. Amber got me so happy right now that my ragged ass life getting ready to get together. Amber, I appreciate you, man. How can they follow Amber? She's a part of this program.
Well, she's on my website, so
yeah,
just go to the Podcast Doctor, click on staff. She's there.
She's staff at the Podcast Doctor, but Amber gonna help me get it together. I ain't gonna come in here. Next time y'all see me, I'm gonna come in here. I'll be ready. So I'm just getting ready to get my life together. And remember, don't let nobody tell you who your hero is. Go read. Thanks so much, everybody. I love y'all. Bye-bye.